You're broadcasting. So you should see it in that Facebook window momentarily. That's there it is. So that. Welcome once again. You know what? I'm looking over here at the monitor, and nobody wants to see that. Chris, open on a shot of this thing, because nobody wants to see me tonight. Welcome to Ormond Beach, everybody. That is a 2019 Acura NSX. We're going to be taking a bit of a deep dive on this car tonight, looking over some of the technical details, talking a little bit about just what it is, what it represents, and taking a look, pulling up her skirts and seeing what's underneath. I'm JG Pasterjack. This is another edition of Grassroots Motorsports Live, presented by CRC Industries. Welcome aboard, everybody. I got my friends on Facebook right over here. Got my friends on YouTube right over there. I'm cradling you in my arms like a beautiful orange baby. So what you can do for me tonight is, if you're watching this, if you're having a good time, if you like watching our show every night, go down, click the like button, click the share button, even more importantly, if you're watching over there on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and you will get first crack at anything that comes out of our creative forges. We really appreciate you doing that. Also, please spare a thought for the nice people that make this show possible. Talking about our friends from CRC Industries. Before the show, I cleaned my glasses, I cleaned the lenses on the camera that Chris is holding right now with some VisiClear display cleaner. This is one of my favorite of the many CRC products that we use almost every day here around the shop and at all of our various little project car squirrel holes that we maintain at Grassroots Motorsports. Check them out at crcindustries.com on the web. Even better, check them out at any retailer where you buy automotive chemicals. Also, I want you to check out our friends at Koni, koni-na.com, for all of your shock absorber needs. They have shocks to fit anything from your street Miata to your race Formula car, everything in between. And we will be having some tech tips from them coming up on shows in the very near future. Also, if you are a regular viewer of the show and you text GRM Live, GRM LIVE to 31996, you will get updates on what's going on that week on the show. Like, for example, the fact that it is Tuesday, not our regular Wednesday evening program, and we are here on a different night. You would have gotten a text that said that today. Probably. I think that's how it works. Anyway, here's what we are doing tonight. We got a good crowd forming over here on YouTube, and I see a lot of our regulars here on Facebook. And Gregory is asking, why doesn't he see any scales? The scales, young man, are sitting right there, and we are going to be later in the show weighing this here NSX for our What's It Weigh segment presented by Intercomp, and we got a really, really cool prize tonight. In 2016, I went to the media launch for the new generation NSX. This was one of the little prizes we got. So in this box, try not to drop it, is a bunch of foam and this very cool little NSX paperweight model. So that is going to be our prize tonight for What's It Weigh, presented by Intercomp. But don't guess yet. No guesses are official until we actually start asking for guesses. Otherwise, they just get lost in the online shuffle. All right, so let's get started here tonight. Let's talk a little bit. Yeah, Dean says he got the text tonight. So yeah, glad everybody's tuning in. Let's talk a little bit about the Acura NSX. When the NSX first came out as back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was Honda's first supercar. First generation actually used some pieces from the Honda parts bin. I think it was more respected the older it got and the more it proved itself. When it first came out, it was actually derided a bit by contemporary journalists as, you know, a fancy Accord with the engine in the middle. It's actually a very, very cool car, very contemporary styling to its time period. It's aged very, very well, and it really made a mark, I think. This ups the ante a little bit. These first came out early 2016. They started hitting the marketplace. Completely new generation. They started teasing these back as early as about 2011. This is a car that its contemporaries are more along the lines of Audi R8, Lamborghini Gallardo. It's upping the ante a little bit in the supercar wars. Very, very technologically advanced car. We're going to actually have some cool stuff that we got at the press preview. We're going to show you in a few minutes about some of the different little aero tricks on here. But a lot going on under the skin here. 4 separate motivation systems. 75-degree V6 engine with twin turbos sitting in the back. 2 electric motors up front, independently driving each front wheel, and an additional ring gear motor on the engine itself. Actually, Katie, let's bring up a couple of these photos here. Let's show that one right there. Yes. Yep. So this is basically the entire powertrain layout. You can see the dual motor setup in the front, driving each front wheel independently. The large black area directly behind the seats, that is the battery pack for the hybrid drive system. And then behind that is the more conventional 75-degree, 3.5 liter V6 engine with an additional electric ring gear, helping motivate that. Combined, yeah, let's show this next slide here, which is just the gas motor and its attached electric motor. Now, Acura claims 573, I think, combined horsepower from all the motivation systems. Let's take a look at that next slide. This is the front motors with their differential and their reduction gear. Yeah, Andrew's asking V6. Yeah, 3.5 liter V6, twin turbos in the back. In fact, we can take a look at that now. Although there is not a ton to see. And yeah, come on back to me, Katie. So we're going to be working Chris quite a bit tonight as we move around this thing. So there's the back. Let's see if we can pull some of these covers off and actually show you what's going on underneath there. This car has a carbon fiber appearance package on it, and well, I'm going to say you don't even want to know what it costs, but you do want to know what it costs. I will tell you what it costs in a few minutes, and I think you'll be a little shocked. This definitely moves into hypercar territory for some of the cost of the accessories, which is why I'm very gingerly removing these covers. So that is about the best view you're going to get of the top of the 3.5 liter V6. And as you can see, it's been augmented a bit with some visual flair. It's not really designed to be accessible, but there really probably shouldn't be much of a reason you need to get back in there. Chris, am I crazy? When I took these off, like, it smells like a horse barn.
A little bit, yeah.
Is that okay? So I'm not crazy. I don't. Well, the shop always smells a little. So I'm over here sniffing these carbon fiber lids. I don't know where that sort of earthy scent is coming from, or maybe somebody drove this to a farm before they brought it over to us. So here's why tonight's show is on Tuesday and not Wednesday. And somebody asked earlier, is there going to be a Wednesday show? Probably not an official Wednesday show. When we're on a press car rotation, we have services that bring these cars every week. And when it's a special car like this, sometimes it's a little bit off the normal schedule. This car showed up yesterday and they're taking it away tomorrow. And they contacted us a couple weeks ago, asked us if we wanted to spend a day with it. We said absolutely, but today was the only day it was available, so we're doing it today. Tomorrow, I am actually headed down to Sebring to attend a Skip Barber racing school. We'll be doing a story about an upcoming issue. And I should get there in time for a show. I might log on, just say hi to everybody, maybe update everybody about what's going on, but there's not going to be like an official show tomorrow because I'll be down in Sebring. All right, let's take a look around some of the details on this thing. Let's start up front under the frunk and see what we can see about how this thing is designed and laid out. So this is our hybrid drive system up here. Can't really see very much of it, but the first thing we definitely get a sense for is a lot of the airflow control that's been designed into this car. Actually, Katie, we have a video on the airflow control. Let's cue that up and leave my audio up.
It's going.
We'll start showing that. Okay, so this is this is Acura's little promo video on the various airflow control. Car's got a ton of heat exchangers on it, both to cool the hybrid drive system and to cool the conventional gas engine, as well as a bunch of aerodynamic aids. And I do want to take a closer look at some of the aero stuff when we get the car up in the air and just see how realistic they actually are, and if they're actually working, or if they appear to be working the way Acura says they are. So they're telling us that they're actually venting the wheel wells, getting some of the pressure out of there. They've got air control going around the sides of the car. Looks like now we see the car in motion. Oh, there's some blue lines. Look at that. Okay, so if your car ever runs into a bunch of blue lines, that's exactly how the blue lines are going to pass through your car. So
when you get in the Tron universe.
Right, in the Tron universe, this is what your car will look like. So looks like they're taking advantage of some laminar flow there, air that's going through the heat exchangers in the front. Oh my God, look at that. We're going right in. We're following the path of the air through the front heat exchangers, out the vent in the hood, along the side of the car, taking advantage of that laminar flow, the air sticking to the sides of the car, into the vents in the rear.
This reminds me of the video that used to play before a Regal Cinemas movie.
Where you're on the fake roller coaster. Yes. Okay, so we're back. So let's see if we can find where some of those blue lines are going. We actually do have a pretty good look at some of the heat exchangers up front here. I don't know, Chris, can you come around maybe over here? And we can kind of get a shot of some of these heat exchangers in the front, and we do have a nice path for the air to come up and out these hood vents. And actually, this is really interesting too. Chris, take a peek in there. You see what's in there? that is the top of the tire. So you know what that means? They have actually vented the inside of the wheel well to let some of the high pressure that collects inside of a wheel well vent to under the hood, which vents directly to the atmosphere. So they're using that to negate a lot of the high pressure lift that can actually form in front wheel well. So that's yeah, for your 200 grand, somebody actually did a little bit of aero work on it. Let's see, what else is up here? You can see some of the electrically assisted power steering kind of buried down in there. A lot of coolant pipes going to the various heat exchangers. The air conditioning compressor is up here, so it's an electrically driven AC compressor. It's not drawing parasitically from the engine, being driven by the I'm guessing the 12 volt system and not the hybrid drive system. It's got some warnings up there, some warnings about the batteries. Don't overheat them. Yeah, all. Yeah, well, no, it's metal. It's all aluminum. There's a lot of aluminum used in the car. We'll talk a little bit about the construction later. So as we move back, we can see that they've actually vented the wheel wells here. Have they? Okay, yeah, there's just a little channel in there, but the wheel wells are actually vented coming out the top as well. Very good air control along the sides, and we saw the video with the laminar flow going along the side of the car into the heat exchangers in the rear and also into the engine compartment in the rear, and also passing right through here and being able to be used for some aero as well. Oh, and that's pretty cool. The air that passes through here can actually stay adhered to the surface and flow right into this intake as well. So a lot of work being done on air control there. Let's oh, thank you. Patrick says he loves GRM Live over on YouTube. Just checking out some of our questions here. Dinesh says, yep, got a 4-cylinder, slap on a turbo, got a 8-cylinder, slap on a turbo, got a cheeseburger, slap on a turbo. That's how it's going these days. Actually, this is a cool graphic if we're talking about turbos a little bit. Katie, show that NSX 021 graphic. This is a little bit of a marketing department graphic, but having driven the car and spent some time in the car, both on track and on the street, I can tell you that it checks out. And what this graphic is kind of showing you is that they use the electric drive system to augment the conventional drive system. So what they can do with a car like this is you can build characteristics into the turbo motor where maybe the turbo motor is a little bit laggier, a little bit peakier. Katie, we can come back to me. So maybe the turbo motor is a little bit laggier, it's a little bit peakier than it might normally be if it was just a conventionally driven car. But then they use that hybrid drive system to fill in the gaps in the power band of that peaky, less flexible maybe than it normally would be turbo engine. So you get a nice, very consistent, very usable linear level of thrust, and that was kind of the marketing version of that. All right, let's keep moving towards the back of the car here. See what we can see back here. Got exits for the heat exchangers in the back here. All of these grills do appear to be legit. Those are all wide open. Not a couple of fake ones here, but getting a lot of air out through there. And we also have some diffuser strakes on the bottom there, once we get it up in the air, I'm really curious to see exactly how effective those diffuser strakes are, and how much is cosmetic and how much is actual functional aerodynamics. That's something we'll be taking a closer look at once we get the car up in the air. Before we do that, though, let's take a look inside. Oh, actually, here, let me show you another one of my most favorite features. If I can find the key here. When you approach the car and it's locked, literally you just walk up to it, and the car says, "Hi, Sproing, nice to meet you. Good to see you again." So that's kind of cool. I have way too much money, and I'm going to spend it on clever stuff. Interior on this thing is as good as any high-performance car you're ever going to drive. And the actual human factors in this thing are phenomenal. The only complaint I have from an ergonomic standpoint, from a usability standpoint, is going to be about the very low entry through this door right here. But that is not completely unwarranted, and we'll show you why with this little graphic. The blue one, Katie. So this is a little diagram of what the thing's actually built out of, and one of the things that Acura did with this car is they figured out how to bond some fairly dissimilar materials. So most of the structure of the car is aluminum, and you've got aluminum ablation castings. Ablation castings are a disposable media casting. So it's like a sand casting where the actual mold breaks away and isn't used again. Aluminum GDC castings, which are poured castings, extruded aluminum, stamped aluminum. The important thing I want you to look at in this graphic is the 3D bent and quenched UHSS, which stands for ultra high strength steel. And you see that it's used in the A-pillar and the tops of those doors. That provides an immense amount of strength in a very, very, very small area. Yeah, back to me, Katie. So that ultra high strength steel provides an immense amount of strength in a very small area. And what it does is it allows Acura to design this car with a very narrow A-pillar for a modern car. If you've driven cars for any length of time, you've noticed that the A-pillars on cars especially have gotten wider and wider and wider as cars have gotten newer, because of rollover standards, because of crashworthiness standards from every direction, because they're housing airbags. Using that ultra high strength steel, Acura has actually managed to make this A-pillar really, really non-obtrusive. So kudos to them for that. Somebody asked what it sounds like. We're going to fire it up towards the end of the show. All the doors in the shop are closed right now. It's raining like crazy here, so we'll fire it up towards the end of the show. I would warn you to not get overly excited about how it sounds. If there are a few things on this car that are less than amazing, the sound is certainly one of them. Let's go check out, see if we missed any important questions here. Doesn't look like it, so let's get back to talking about the interior of the car. I'm going to grab my helmet. We're going to see how it looks on headroom. Oh yeah, by the way, got my helmet painted recently, everybody. Big shout out to Ariel Fine Art for the amazing helmet paint job. I will say right off the bat that I'm not going to be able to get into or out of this car with my helmet on because this door is so low. I probably could do it, but it's nothing that you want to watch. I'm not a tall individual. I'm like 5.5 feet tall on a good day. And you can see, I've kind of figured out how to do this, but you can see that getting in, there's a little bit of interference right there. Once you're in, tons of room, great place to drive from. Actually, nice low side panels here. You don't feel buried in the car at all, but the seat's really supportive. And one of the most amazing things about it is the view out the front is fantastic. It's got the lowest dash of any car I've driven in a long time. let me pop a helmet on here. So with a helmet, I've got a little bit of interference over here on the A-pillar, the roof line, but I've got a hand plus above my head. I have a fairly normal sized torso. I just have kind of short legs. So if you're 5'9", 5'10", you're probably going to be able to fit in here with a helmet on fairly well. But even with a helmet on, and even with a little bit of interference over here, the car still feels very roomy. It doesn't have that even like a Miata can feel claustrophobic sometimes. It certainly doesn't have a claustrophobic supercar feel to it at all. You don't feel buried in the thing at all. Chris, can you get behind me at all and get a view out the windshield? Because I think that's one of the most impressive views in any modern supercar at all. The dash is just impressively low. You see a little bit of the two front fenders, but it's almost like sitting in the most awesome MR2 you've ever sat in. The way the hood just kind of falls away, and you have this impression of the road just ending at the front of the windshield there. So great view there. We'll start it up and show you the gauges and stuff later. I don't want to start up with the doors closed. So we'll take a look at that stuff later. So now I have to climb out. If there's any children watching, you might want to cover their eyes because this is not sexy at all. But yeah, I'm getting used to that. If that was something I had to put up with every day, it would be worth it. All right, let's check a couple things before we put on the lift. I want to take a look at if this thing has any camber. Angela wants to know, let us know what you think of the comfort level on the street. Let's talk about that a little bit, and we'll talk about drive modes. It's got 4 separate drive modes. It has a quiet mode, it's got a sport mode, sport plus mode, and a track mode. Quiet mode, just like it sounds, kills the exhaust noise a little bit, provides, I think, a little bit of active sound canceling through probably through the speakers, because it does get noticeably more quiet inside, and I don't think they're doing that just with exhaust rerouting. Shifts completely automatically. The Sport and Sport Plus, a little bit stiffer suspension settings, a little bit more aggressive throttle settings, holds gears a little bit longer before it shifts automatically. Track is the most aggressive. It turns off a lot of the stability control settings. Sorry, my mic's folding up a little bit there. Turns off a lot of the stability control, turns off a lot of the traction control settings. Still does maintain some stability control and some torque vectoring through both of those electrically driven front wheels in track mode. But having driven these cars on track, we had the opportunity to drive them at the Thermal Club during the press launch. I am 100% willing to declare this car as having the best electronic driver aids of any car I have ever driven on track. They are completely transparent. They are working entirely with the driver and not against the driver, and it's just an electronic stability package that makes you feel like a better and more talented driver. It doesn't prevent you from forcing weight transfer into a certain corner if you want to drive a little more aggressively. It doesn't prevent you from driving neat and tidy if that's the way you choose to drive. It does a phenomenal job of working with you, and it does not even feel like it's there. So Andrew wants to know Michelin's. Yes, actually no, the car comes with Continentals. They are Sport Contact 6s, 245, 35, 19 in the front, 305, 30, 20s in the rear. If anybody out there is autocrossing a D Street class Civic Type R, you will know that the hot setup for your D Street Civic Type R is to take the front wheels off of an Acura NSX and put them in all four corners of your Civic Type R. Angela, I'm talking to you if you're out there. And that is the hot setup for a street class Civic Type R. Somebody wants to know about reliability issues and what the main issues with the cars are now. That I am not the guy to tell you that, because Lord knows I will never be able to afford one of these things. I am but a humble journalist. I can tell you that this is one of the best warranted supercars of any super hyper high performance car out there. Yes, Katie. Katie has a question.
You know, if you pay the bills by mentioning our fabulous sponsors, you might be able to afford one of these.
Oh my God, that's a great idea. Katie says if I pay some bills by mentioning our fabulous sponsors, I may one day be able to afford one of these. So let's do that right now, shall we? First, folks, I would like to tell you about is our friends at CRC Industries. Folks, I know you enjoy watching the show. I know you enjoy coming here every week. I enjoy having you here, but do me a favor. When you're at the store next time, when you're buying some brake cleaner, when you're buying some carb cleaner, when you're buying spray lube or chain lube or spray lithium grease, reach for that can of CRC stuff, because you're going to get a great product. You're also going to give a little bit back to this community, because they are a company that supports motorsports at every level. They support great magazines like Grassroots Motorsports. They support great events like our $2,000 challenge. They support great shows like this one. So please, 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 if you have a choice, make the choice for the CRC stuff. And it wouldn't kill you to go over to their social media once in a while and just say thanks. Post a picture of yourself using their product. Tell them you love watching the show every week. And, they appreciate that stuff, and we appreciate that stuff. Also, check out our friends at Koni, Koni-NA.com. Shock absorbers for any vehicle that you drive. Koni actually started out by making shocks for buggies, like buggies and trains. Koni makes shocks for bridges and buildings and anything that needs oscillation damping, anything that needs vibration damping. Koni makes a shock for it. So whether you're driving a Honda S2000 or you have a 2,000 foot tall building to build, Koni has a shock for you. Koni-NA.com. Very, very happy to have them supporting the show. All right, yes, I see a lot of our CRC friends posting that they love the stuff. Okay, yes, and somebody gave a shout out to Katie for mentioning that. So Dinesh asked about how much the wheels are compared to aftermarket wheels. I know we had somebody in the chat that can answer that, because I know we have a couple people that have actually bought these wheels for their Civic Type Rs. So we'll wait for somebody to throw that info up there. I'm gonna take a sip of my delicious coffee, but because we have an NSX here, because we're classy, I'm gonna stick my pinky way out. Yeah, I think that worked. Okay, so we're gonna get the thing up on the lift next. That requires a little bit of rolling around on the floor for me, and so we're gonna show you a little raw footage video here in just a minute when we come back. Hopefully I'll be done. If not, when we come back, it's gonna be me rolling around on the floor to get the lift arms in the right place. But later in the show, we are gonna put this baby down onto our Intercomp wireless scales, find out exactly what it weighs, and you could win fabulous prizes. You could win this NSX paperweight that we got from the press launch if you are closest to the actual weight without going over. Don't guess yet, though. We will let you know when it's time to make an actual guess. We're giving this baby away. Look at that.
It's the wrong color.
It's not the wrong color. It's the right color. It's the perfect color. This is the kind of stuff you get at. If anybody ever wondered what it's like to be an automotive journalist, it's a lot of this stuff. Hey, love our car, here's the paperweight. It used to be, back in the 80s, when I first started doing this, I would hear stories from people, and like they would get this same box, but it would be delivered by a hooker full of cocaine. And I missed that era, sadly, I guess. But yeah, now it's paperweights, and it's much more honorable profession than it was back in the day. Let's see. So yeah, Katie, go ahead and
Play that funky video.
throw up. Yeah, let's just throw up. This is just kind of raw footage from the track on the NSX. It's about 4 minutes long, so we will take a look at that, and I will get this baby up in the air as fast as we possibly can. We'll see you back here in a few minutes. Hey, we are back. While we were out there, and by the way, less than 4 minutes to get this baby up in the air, and we had a lot of people commenting on my personal page earlier, like, "Hey man, those are really hard to get on a lift." You're talking to a guy with a lowered C5 Corvette, so this is amateur hour over here. I'm imagining saying that while behind me it's falling slowly off the lift, so I'm not going to say anything more about that. We had another automotive journalist chime in, somebody that had this car right before we did, and I think I know what he's talking about. Chris, come on over to this side. Jared is this yours, Jared? Did you do that? It's all right. We've all been there. We've all been there. Let's take a look under the beast here. Let's oh, actually, before we do that, I have here the price breakdown of the 2019 NSX.
Please tell Maybe Live that your name is not JD, it's JG.
Oh my God. Okay, so Katie's very angry that Maybe Live on YouTube keeps calling me JD. It's actually JG. That's fine. I'm not mad at you. I know it's non-standard. We're cool. Me and you, we're fine. Katie, on the other hand, she will cut you if she ever sees you. All right, prices. Price breakdown of the 2019 Acura NSX. Base price starting MSRP $157,500 American dollars. Don't stop there though, because the hits keep on coming. Pearl white paint on the outside.
Now Fitz is calling you kidding.
Pearl white paint on the outside. It's going to add $700 to that price sticker. These carbon ceramic rotors are going to add $10,600 to the price. The rear spoiler, the carbon fiber rear deck lid spoiler, is going to add $3,000 to the price. The carbon fiber roof on this car will add $6,000 to the price. And okay, so until now, I've kind of been with you on all this stuff. This one, at Acura, you're a little proud of this one. I love you, but carbon fiber exterior sport package with carbon fiber engine cover, which is carbon fiber splitter, carbon fiber side sills, carbon fiber lower valance in the rear and the engine covers, $12,600. That look, if it wasn't my money, of course we're going to buy those. You're a little proud of those. Everything else, totally on board with. For a grand total, interior Alcantara 3800, Sirius 500. Grand total price as tested $194,700. You will get change from your $200,000 bill. It sounds like a lot of money to me. The car is fairly incredible. If you are shopping in that price range, if you're looking at Lamborghini Huracans or Audi R8s, you're in the same neighborhood. You're talking about a Porsche GT3 RS. You are in the same neighborhood as something like this. It's a lot. It's a theoretical number to me. It doesn't actually, it's not anything within my actual frame of reference. All right, so let's pull these wheels off. See what we're looking at inside this thing. Oh, come on, Acura. Just when I was saying how awesome it is. Wheel bolts? Really? Okay, whatever. If you've watched this show for any length of time, you know that I have a huge personal pet peeve about wheel bolts. I guess whatever. If this is your car, you're not going to be putting these wheels on and taking them off all the time. Hey, Katie, come here for a second. I'm going to hand you this wrench after I take this bolt out. I do not want this $565 wheel with whatever this Continental tire costs to fall on the ground. There's a front 245 Continental. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, stick around while I do the back here. because this one's probably even more expensive. Oh, loud noise, everybody. I probably should have warned you about that. Little late for that, but it's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Can't expect me to
I know there's lots of stuff to look at in here.
pay attention.
Okay, just put that on the ground somewhere. Let's see what we are looking at. Let me go find my light. So that's a first thing you're seeing under here. That's a fairly high-tech floating rotor setup. That is a carbon ceramic matrix rotor. It's basically carbon strands woven throughout a ceramic base layer. Very, very high friction, very lightweight, very, very low wear. Fairly expensive, but does the job very, very nice. You can actually see the weave of the carbon fiber here in the brake rotor. It's also a fully floating brake rotor, which is something you normally only see on race cars. So this is an aluminum center hub here with the carbon ceramic disc out here. These T-nuts in here actually allow the rotor to float in there, and what these do is they are able to move radially out from the center, because what's going to happen is as these brakes get hot, this carbon ceramic disc is going to expand and contract because of thermal expansion and contraction, is going to expand at a very different rate than this aluminum hub. So to counter for that thermal expansion, it's allowed to float in here, and these nuts are allowed to slide back and forth and allow for the expansion of that rotor. Now usually, so we have floating discs on the Corvette. Sometimes floating brake disc can be fairly noisy because you actually, the brake disc isn't firmly affixed to the hat part here, and they can actually be fairly noisy, rattle around. They've solved that with this car. There's some tension springs on there holding them in place. Does a great job of not being noisy at all. Oh, and Katie, my mom says she loves your hair.
I saw that. Thanks, Mrs. D.
So, big, nasty, massive ass rotor right here. Caliper. I mean, 6 pistons in this caliper. Let's measure this this rotor here if I can find a tape measure. And we'll do that later. I can't find a tape measure. 6 piston front caliper. 8-arm suspension. I forgot to measure the camber before I put it up, but it did not look like there was really any static camber. When we get a little bit deeper under the car, we will take a look and see if there's any facilities for adjusting some of the camber in there. Let's take a look out back quick. And oh, you know what, Katie? In the office, on the desk in the office, is like 18 tape measures. Because that's the low spot. That's where they all migrate to. A little bit less caliper in the rear. Obviously, still 4-piston caliper in the rear. This is your parking brake caliper over here. Oh, thank you, ma'am. But again, fully floating carbon ceramic rotor here in the back. 14 inches of rotor in the back, and about 14.5 inches of rotor in the front. So a lot of rotor area to slow down a very well balanced mid-engine car. We typically with a car with this much weight behind the driver, you see a little more brake in the back than you normally would in a front engine car. This does have a nicely sized vented rear rotor in the back here. Let's get it up a little bit higher. Take a little closer look at the suspension. All right. So Chris, come on up here. We'll start up front. And let me get my other light. So we actually have a little air deflector here, bringing fresh air from the front, can flow easily through here, bring some fresh air from the front to the brakes to ventilate that area. We talked earlier, you can see how much it's been raining today, how sandy the inside of the wheel well is. We talked earlier about the wheel wells, the front wheel wells themselves actually being vented to atmosphere to relieve some of the high pressure that collects in here. You can actually very easily see that from under here. You can actually see all the way through the top of that shock to the hood. And in the back here, you have the entry for the vent that's on the top of the fender. So what happens is when you've got a spinning wheel under here, it actually carries a lot of air up into the wheel well and compresses it in the wheel well and creates a big high pressure area under the car, which essentially creates lift. Well, a vent like this, that's the cover for the vent. A vent like that ventilates that high pressure of the atmosphere, opening the top of the shock towers, ventilates that pressure to under the hood, which is then vented to the atmosphere. So you actually relieve a lot of that high pressure that's collecting under the hood. Got a couple of questions? Oh, just people being nice on YouTube. Yeah, thanks. We love taking a closer look at these cars when we get them. Let's take a look at some of the stuff in the back here. Okay, this is pretty cool. So we have ventilation going to the rear brakes from being guided through this channel right here, being fed from this duct right here, which actually collects in this little NACA ducted hole right here. Chris, come around over here behind me. You can actually see right where the entry is for this brake duct. Picks it up right off the flow from the bottom of the car, lifts it up in here, uses it for brake cooling. So it actually takes the high-speed air coming from under there and gives it a place to reduce some of its pressure, and brings it up here for brake venting, grabbing a little bit more air from right under the bottom of the control arm here with this really cool little sculpted vent. So it grabs air from on the bottom of the control arm, brings it up and shoots it right on the back of the rotor here. So remember, when you're designing a cooling system, it's not all about getting air into something. It's just as much about every bit of air you get in there doesn't do you any good unless you can also get the same amount of air out of there as well. So if you're using an air-to-air cooling system like this, you got to think about more than just getting the air into the hot area. You've got to think about getting, not just getting cool air into the hot area, but getting the hot air out of that area as well. So all of this air probably vents out through those these highly spoked, a lot of open area wheels. There's a lot of area for the air to get out there. So keep that in mind when you're designing your own cooling systems. It's not just about getting air in. It's just as much about getting air out. All right, let's go back up front and see if we have any provision for camber adjustment, which is going to be on this lower arm more than likely, and it's going to basically be how far this arm comes in or out. So this has some shims on it. It doesn't really have any provision for a a screw-based adjustment or a positional adjustment, but I'm guessing that these shims with the purple tags on them. In fact, I'd go so far as to guess there are probably shims with different color tags on them that provide different amounts of camber for this car. A thicker shim is going to take this lower arm, it's going to push it out this way, so it's going to push the bottom of this hub outward and create more negative camber. And I don't see any shims on the upper arm, so there's nothing to really take out up there to move that upper arm inward. So you're sort of, if you're trying to create negative camber here, you're pretty much limited to moving this lower arm outward. But you can see, yeah, probably easier from back here. You can see the front axles. That motor, that dual front electric motor, is right in here with its reduction gears and internal diff. So it actually drives the wheels through these fairly standard looking half shafts. A lot of sensor wires and stuff, but nothing, you know, I don't want to say nothing super amazing under there, but you know, a fairly straightforward upper and lower arm, upper and lower A arm, a split A arm design that Honda's used in the past with this sort of angled connection for the front A arm. Z-Car, 350Zs use a connection like this, except it's in the back. Whenever you have a bushing like this that is at an angle to the traditional direction of travel, so this suspension is going to be moving up and down like this, and this bushing right here is not necessarily aligned with that direction of travel. It's actually at about a 35 degree, a 35 degree angle to the direction of travel. This bushing becomes extremely important to making the entire system work well, because this bushing has to control motion in several directions at once. So if you have like a 350Z or an NSX, this is going to be a very, very important bushing for overall suspension performance. So when you're upgrading that bushing, make sure you are getting an upgrade from somebody that knows how these things work. Because if you just make that stiffer, sure, you're going to have great motion in this direction, but you might not have the proper compliance in this direction, which is also a force being put on a bushing like that isn't directly in line with the direction of travel. All right, let's see what else we got under here. So you can see a lot of the structural aluminum under here. This is something that any Corvette person will be familiar with, which is the underbody panel with a zillion different bolts in it that provides protection. In this case, I believe part of the hybrid drive system is right behind here, but this is actually like a 3/16 piece thick chunk of water jetted, probably aluminum. Provides a lot of stiffening to this central structure. Supposedly, this is one of, if not the stiffest cars in its class, and it's not because of any one big thing. It's because of a lot of little things, like, you know, stiffening plates like that, of you know, just the use of a lot of structural aluminum, nice thick but light pieces. So the other thing you really notice under here, now that you're under it and have a complete view of it, is just how flat the entire bottom of this thing is. There's a plastic panel up here. This is actual undercoated structure of the car right here. Yeah, this is aluminum structure, but behind this, but you see not much interrupting the airflow. And then this is actually a fiber engine cover, which is remarkably clean. I would think that this would get dirtier. Bringing some of the air up from underneath to use it, like I said before, for the brakes, but a very, very flat under tray, which leads me to believe that this diffuser back here is pretty effective, because you do not have a lot. You've got bolt heads essentially is the only thing interrupting the airflow from the front to the back of this car. So you've got what amounts to a legit, not just styling based, but a legit aerodynamic aid in this diffuser back here. Actually, if you really wanted to be tricky, you could go through and take all of these bolts out. Maybe not some of these recessed ones, but certainly these that are hanging out in the airstream. If you really wanted to be anal about this, and replace these with some rounded button head bolts. Just do a little bit of work to not interrupt the airflow going under here as much as possible. Although I would imagine that somebody somewhere that works at an Acura wind tunnel has the exact amount of data they need to know how much interruption these bolts are providing to the airflow. You can actually see that the level of this is a little bit lower than the level of the air hitting it, so there's probably a bit of a dead area right in here. I've been talking a lot. Let me see if we got any questions. Yes. We going long? Oh yeah, my God, we're going so long.
I mean, we're currently right on time.
We are currently right on time. Yes, we do have to lower the car down. We got some folks mentioning that there is a lot of glue being used in this car. Actually, let's show one quick slide before we lower it down for our What's It Weigh segment.
The last one.
Let's show the last one, the only one we haven't shown yet. We talked about the construction of the car. This is sort of showing you that all of the aluminum pieces that hold suspension components are forged pieces. All those yellow pieces are the high strength forged pieces that make up the suspension. All right, we need to weigh this thing. So the first thing I need to do to get this thing weighed is bring it back down a little bit and get these wheels back on it. So, Katie, a little bit of lowering music, please. We don't have any lowering music. Thanks for hanging out tonight, everybody. We appreciate it. In just a couple minutes, we are going to lower this Acura NSX down onto.
Lowering the Acura NSX.
Yes, we actually are currently lowering the NSX, but we are going to lower it all the way onto these Intercomp wireless scales, and we are going to find out exactly what this baby weighs. So now is the time to start placing your guesses in the YouTube chat, in the Facebook chat, and get your guesses registered for tonight's edition of What's It Weigh, presented by Intercomp, where we are weighing a 2019 Acura NSX with a full tank of gas. The tank is full. It's a full tank. Drove from our office to here, which is about 10 miles, and I took my wife for a ride earlier, and we did a couple of hard launches. So it's mostly full tank of gas. Full enough for discussion purposes. All right, so now I got to deal with these stupid wheel bolts, which I'm sure somebody will come on from Acura and tell me why these are a good idea. But I guess whatever. Chris, I'm using both hands on this, so I think I'm about to have a little bit of a butt crack moment here, just in case. So, but I'm not moving my hands off these expensive wheels. I don't care what happens. Thank you, Katie. Yeah, put a little flour in there for me.
No, this is a child-friendly show.
All right. Rears are slightly easier because you got a parking brake, at least holding it in place. But at the same time, the rears are actually way more. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. All right, let's run these babies down. So next week on the show, speaking of Hondas, our buddy Tom O'Gorman is going to join us. Tom O'Gorman coming off a win in the TCR class at Sebring just this past week, and after that was coming off a win in the TCR class at Daytona a few weeks before that. If anybody's seen the videos that have been shared online of his win at Daytona, the last couple laps of that race were absolutely thrilling. There was Tom was fighting with an Alfa Romeo. They were passing and repassing each other. They were making moves into and out of every corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to collect some of that video. We're going to have Tom on. We're going to analyze turn by turn, move by move, frame by frame, the video of those last couple laps. We're going to break them down in excruciating detail and see, what are the strategies involved here? Is it survival mode, or is there a plan here? And what is your plan corner by corner? How does your plan change based on what happens in that corner? We're going to do a very deep dive on the closing moments of a very exciting race. In case anybody's wondering, yes, there are some little style buttons that go over the tops of these wheel bolt heads. I took them off prior to the show. And we will properly torque these wheels down after they are on the car is on the ground, before it goes back to our friends at Acura. And I don't want to hear anybody getting on me for using a chrome socket on an impact wrench. Okay, I got no time for you. All right, so let us get our last two Intercomp wireless quick scales in place. We will then complete the lowering of the 2019 Acura NSX onto those scales for a little segment we call What's It Weigh, presented by Intercomp. So now is the time to place your guesses, folks, in the chat. Closest to the pin without going over is going to win that little Acura NSX paperweight. And maybe we'll throw some other GRM swag in the package as well. Here we go. Almost there. Approaching touchdown. Take one quick walk around to make sure we are properly aligned on all four scale pads. I think we're in good shape. Here we go. We have touchdown. We are on the scales. The weight is coming up. The weight of the 2019 Acura NSX. Oh, it's right. It's fluctuating. I'm gonna wait for it to stabilize. Let's see some guesses up there. Lloyd says 39.57. Oh, everybody's so close. Let's see what we got on. Everybody's in the 38s, 39s. Keith Laming, 39.46, 39.25. Jason says, I'm saucy tonight. I'm saucy every night, baby. 39.73, 38.60. Oh, that's Casey, you might be, okay, here we go. Enough screwing around. The weight of 2019 Acura NSX, 3,800, so under 4,000 pounds, 3,870 pounds. So I see a 3860 up there on YouTube.
David still hasn't texted me the winner. We will privately contact the winner on Facebook or YouTube.
Yes, Michael just guessed 3870 actually after I said it. Did somebody actually get it on the money?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on. Don't leave me hanging here.
You get no sneeze.
Damn it, it's gone. I hate that. Now I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. and sneeze and wonder where it came from. All right, 3870. Val says he got it. Did somebody get it exactly? Yeah, David will search back. So yeah, if you guessed 3870, shoot me an email, jg@grassrootsmotorsports.com. We'll make sure you get your paperweight. It actually might not get sent out until Monday, so don't panic. Shoot me an email with your mailing address, and we will get that off to you, and we'll probably throw some other GRM goodies in there as well. Let's take a quick look though while we got this baby down on the scales. These are very interesting numbers because check out the balance of this car. That is crazy. Each rear wheel has the exact, to the pound, the same amount of weight on it, and the front wheels are a pound off each. And it's actually snuck up to 3871 at this point, so that's probably the rain. I think a bird landed in there. But look how well balanced, and I mean that's hard to do when you're setting a car up to balance it that well, let alone when you're building it in a factory and sending it out to the public. So that is that's really impressive. That is pretty amazing. All right, folks, that is the show tonight. Yes. So everybody's saying Val got it. Yeah, Val, shoot me an email, jg@grassrootsmotorsports.com. Not JD, not JB, jg@grassrootsmotorsports.com. And thank you very much for watching and playing tonight. Okay, we are checking out, see if we have any questions remaining. I think we have covered everything. If we missed your question tonight, I apologize that we didn't. There's a lot of activity going on both YouTube and Facebook tonight. Thanks for playing along, though. I hope you enjoyed taking a closer look at a car that you might not be able to see up this close too often, and we certainly enjoyed it too. This has to go back tomorrow, so we need to get all the wheels torqued and get it put back together, take it back to the nice press car, folks. I want you to spare a thought for our... I just spit all over the camera lens. I want you to spare a thought for our friends at CRC Industries. On the web at crcindustries.com. Even better, in a major retailer near you at Lowe's, at Home Depot, at Harbor Freight, at Walmart, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Napa Auto Parts, any place you buy automotive chemicals, they're going to have that CRC stuff. Just like our shelf over there, they're going to have probably every single one of those chemicals and more. If you need automotive chemicals, we invite you to grab that stuff because it is awesome. We know that, but also that company supports companies like ours, companies like Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, like Classic Motorsports Magazine, shows like this one, race series from the amateur to the professional level. They are part of our community, so we invite you to support this community and support the people that support it. So please check out that CRC stuff. They are great to us. We would love you to be great to them and return the favor a little bit. Also, check out our friends at Coney Shocks, proud supporters of this show, coney-na.com. Whether you need a shock for your tow vehicle, for your daily driven performance car, for your race car, for your formula car, for whatever you have on the road, Coney has a shock for you. Check them out, coney-na.com. We appreciate them being supporters of ours, just like CRC. Please, please, please give a little bit back to the people that support us. Thanks very much to Katie running the board over there. Thanks to David running social media at a remote, highly secret location. Thanks to Chris for running the camera. We will see you next Wednesday, back to our regularly scheduled time. I may see you again this week, do a little check-in from the Skip Barber Racing School in Sebring, Florida. Very excited to see my friends there at Skip Barber, like Terry Irwood, some of the great instructors at that school. We're glad to see them back in operation, so very excited about that. And thank you to the people from Acura for loaning us this car for a couple days and letting us share it with you in a very intimate fashion. I think that sneeze is coming back. So I will say goodnight, everybody. We'll see you again next week on another edition of Grassroots Motorsports Live, presented by CRC Industries. I'm JG Pastor Jack. Good night.